See, like, nothing else is doing that. Crazy. Thermal machines. Why? So sand has to come in here. So you are getting basically the up direction is getting me tons and tons of anything I could ever want, right? So that's this guy. So if we added to this and said we wanted sand, let's say half a stack, keep in stock, right? You'd now be able to export sand if you had somewhere to put sand. Now we're going to put like a place to put sand, right? So let's pop in here. We're going to get, actually while I'm here, let's get our resonant conversion kit. Right, so you pipe all the things that way, right? And you're an impulse item duct. And you're a signalum plated impulse item duct. Cool. So that's a thing, right? You guys are all pulverizers. And you pulverize all the things, right? You guys all do redstone. So let's remove one of these. We'll put sand in here. Okay, so I'm going to remove this guy. And your whitelist will be only for redstone going forward. And you're not going to allow redstone, and you're not going to allow redstone, and you are not going to allow redstone. Cool. So now redstone's only allowed in this machine going forward. We're going to remove this guy, who's all kinds of weirdly rendering. And we're going to throw this guy in here. And we're going to put sand in the flux slot and lock it. So that now... I'm actually not sure about that. So let's do up is blue. We'll make up green. We'll make down purple. Or no. No, up should be your output. Right. There we go. So orange output on the top. Cool. It is really bothering me that these are broken textured. That's cool. I should make this... So we want sand to come across from here. And I don't think I can have multiple tunnels in here. It would be really neat if I could, but I don't think I can. But for you to work, I'm going to need another side of you. Can I make the front something? I cannot. Unless I turned him, which I could do. This is going to look a little bit ugly, but it should work. So green on this side, right? That'll be the green input. And then what I'm going to want is impulse items, to be exact. It's going to be more of those. 10 might be enough. And while I'm also here, let's get a filter. Harden should be fine. We don't need anything more than filter. And what I'm going to do, filter, whitelist. Where did my sand go? I know I had sand. I should be able to do this though. So whitelist sand is going to be the only thing allowed to go in here, right? And what we could do, I'm going to disconnect you so you guys don't actually connect. You're going to be disconnected as well. And then sand should be allowed in here. See? Sand. There's sand. What's up, buddy? How cool is that? Right? And then redstone should come in here, and that should only be allowed in there. But redstone is blacklisted on all these guys, so he won't be allowed in there. So now if we pop out of here, and we allow redstone into the chest again, watch what happens, right? I'm going to start allowing redstone in here. Which we have 12 already, so that's cool. That will go in here. It'll make its way into there, and that's the only machine it's allowed in, right? And then once it's processed, it will potentially make cinnamon. You can see that happening, right? It's a redstone block that it's making, so that's cool. It makes a block at a time, and then potentially that cinnamon stuff is being made, right? So that's cool. And I think So now redstone is auto-processing into rich slag. Every piece of redstone we get has like a 50% chance of becoming rich slag. So that's awesome. And I like that, and it's not terrible in terms of land. So we're okay with it. And we'll augment you. You're a little bit faster. Sweet. And you're going to keep stocked with sand. Perfect. So that's fully automated, rich slag production. Changed the way the compact machine works. By the way, how cool is it that that whole setup is in the compact machine? Really liking the compact machine thing. It is nifty. You are probably done with at least a bunch. Cool. Turn into uranium. Not that I'm super complaining, but, you know, there's a thing that you could be doing that would be more efficient. I thought you'd be Yellorium, but you're not, so we'll have to not use Yellorium. But we'll let what's going on here finish. Rich slag. So now rich phytoglow I should have access to. If I want 2 stacks, all I really need is 8 rich slag, right? So it's like 4 rich slag per stack. So this stuff really goes a long way. We don't have to worry too much about having enough. Sweet. Now we can pop down here. And what do we got by way of power over here? So we've got this pokey line going on. So let's... Some redstone conduiting? I do. I have my magnet on, right? Good, just checking. So you guys get power. And debating whether I want to resonant up on that. But in theory, I put you and you in there, and I guess you need water as well, right? Yes. So let's get some stuff going on. So we're going to want export buses here, and we'll probably want 2 sets of export buses, right? The bottom. Slots made this thing. I'm going to assume that even though it's not lit up, it's going to accept water. So let's get an export bus. Times 4. We're going to need 2 sets of this. And a bunch of cables. Which we already had a bunch of, so that's good. Now cables, I shouldn't have to go too far to get. So your back is going to be green, and your back is going to be green, right? And the exporters should be done by now. Cool. And you're going to be fluid water, and you're going to be fluid water. And then that should be cool. Nice. Hey, look at that. It's working. Cool. So even though this thing didn't turn blue, that was pretty much accurately what it was. And then you guys are going to be rich phytogrow, and we're rich phytogrow, and we're probably going to want to put craft upgrades into those export buses so that it can actually craft the phytogrow as needed. Now you're going to be mushrooms, and you're going to be brown mushrooms. And here's what I'm going to do. Annoyingly, I need another side to this machine. So what I'm going to do, got a solution. We're going to make an interface. Because we need to export these guys, don't we? So interface, create one of those, right? And then meanwhile, our crafters should be done. So if we check this export bus, we put a crafter into you. And you. You should now be crafting rich phytogrow in order to be doing what you need to be doing. See, it crafted it, and now it's filling it. Perfect. Cool, cool, cool. Now here's what we're going to set up. You ready? We're going to want our interface. Check. And then we're going to want signalum plated impulse item ducts. And our interface is going to go here. you guys are going to be replaced with signalum plated impulse item ducts, and you will impulse item duct into there. Now watch what happens, right? So what's going to happen is I'm going to set the top to be output, and you're going to go right into the interface, right? And the same will be said for you. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to program red and blue mushrooms, so you can be, let's say, red, or we'll make you brown, and we'll make you red. It doesn't really matter which one's which, except now you're exporting, right? Now the back is going to have to be adjusted to just be blue, right? And the same for you. All right. Now we're going to have a problem. And that problem is this will run forever until we have 10 billion mushrooms. Probably don't want that. So let's do two things. Let's get drawers. You know what? I'm going to get one of you and one of you, and we're going to want our key, which might be in here. Got it. Fast enough. Perfect. You and you, right? Were there any mushrooms that were actually in the system at the time that I did that? Nope. And that's cool. Perfect. We're going to want a drawer upgrade. So let's do like, yeah, sure. How about iron? Should probably be good. I don't need a ton of mushrooms. But we'll definitely want a void upgrade as well. Cool. And then we're going to stick these guys on here. Now we're going to want to automate this such that a redstone signal occurs to prevent the machine from running. So you're only going to run when there's a redstone signal, high and high. So now we're going to set up a thing to say, hey, let's give them redstone signals when we want them to do things. And that sounds like a fun little task. So to accomplish that, let's set the following. Let's get 2 sets of redstone relays. So 4 in total. And then we're going to want level emitters. I forget what they're called, though. Detectors? Yeah, detectors from refined storage. We're missing redstone torches. Do you not know how to make those? Dire, please. Not processing. Better. Okay, so you guys should be cooking, right? And basically what we'll do here is we're going to want structure ducts to come out to, let's say, let's put it like, I want this to be like as well covered up as possible, you know, within reason. So if we did this here, we could have a second structure duct here. You're going to be that and that. You're going to be color red, and you're going to be redstone output, and you're going to be color green, redstone output, and we're going to hope that this works the right way. So to test this, let's first do levers, and then we'll do detectors next. Cool. So lever times 2. Let's get our detectors ready. So here we're going to put you and you. Now, if I was really smart, I made the red color match the red mushroom. I'm really smart. That was purely by mistake. So you're going to be red input, and you're going to be green input, right? So let's see about how redstone doohickery works. So if the red input is on, this mushroom machine should be running, but this one not. Perfect. And let's do resonant conversion kit times 2, because I just remembered that I wanted that to be a thing. Cool. So now when that's on, that's running, right? So instead of a mushroom being here, we're going to have cables here. And we're going to have our detectors here. Boom and boom. And you... Ow. What just hit me that I'm blind? Oh, one of those annoying things, huh? Got a bow and arrow with your name on it, Chief. Haha. You died in lava. Alright, so you're the red mushroom, right? So let's get you and you. And now we can measure how much we want to keep in the system, right? So for you, if you have less than 128 red mushrooms emit a redstone signal, which is emitting a redstone signal and turning on the red mushroom maker. And you are going to be less than 128 brown mushrooms, and that should turn on the green mushroom maker, or the brown, like the green channel, the brown mushroom maker. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Probably. Going along with what I got here. So I don't think I can do that without those structured ducts being the way they are. I think those structured ducts has to be there, but that should work, right? Now, as soon as we hit 128 of each mushroom type, it should shut down machines. So we should be getting that pretty soon from the red mushrooms, right? Any moment now, we'll have red mushrooms, and it's gonna do that thing. So we should consider speed upgrades, right? But we'll let these finish. So any moment now, we should have red mushrooms hitting 128, and you just shut down. Cool. And you're still going, but we're gonna get a couple of stack upgrades. Well, one, and that should be cool. And now this thing should shut down pretty quickly. So we just hit 130, so that means you should be stopped. Beautiful. That is cool, right? Now, if I take out some brown mushrooms, for example, we drop one below 128, it runs again until we hit 128 again. And then as soon as we hit 128 mushrooms, which should be happening pretty quickly, thank you, stack upgrades. So that should be like the next... Boom, done. How cool is that? Oh, I love automation. I love automation that works really well, and I'm kind of proud of that build. Like, I mean, it wasn't like the super fanciest build in the world, but I thought it was neat, and we just automated mushrooms, which means that we've automated Phytogrow, which means that now, if we want to, we can get back to Gendustry and get me some lifespan upgrades. So I'm going to want a dozen of these. And the reason I want a dozen of these, and we have more than enough mushrooms now, is you can put a max of 4 of these in each of your machines. And I've got 3 Gendustry machines up there, right? And the way this works is it reduces the lifespan of the bees inside the industrial apiary. So if I shift click, you'll see 4 go in there. Now notice that this thing was like chugging right along, like 20% went to 25% in one iteration. So we're reducing it by a significant percentage. So now the next time the bee tick happens, which is like every few seconds or so, instead of progressing 5% at a time, it's going to progress a significantly larger than 5% at a time, which we'll see here momentarily. What this does is means that your bees live for less time. And that's going to be good because it's going to do 2 things. One, it's going to make it so we get more drones, right? So we just went from, instead of 20 to 25, we went from 25 to 55. So now we're living like, you know, instead of 20 iterations, we're going to live 3. Like, that's a huge difference. Maybe 4, technically 4, because we went, yeah, right. Yeah, it'll be 4. But that's cool. So now you all have much shorter lifespans, and you're going to have much more drones produced as a result of that, and it will also lead to making breeding better. And so I'm going to let those bees chill over there and get myself a bunch of meadows and common and the other types of drones. And then what I think we'll do is come back next episode and start working towards doing some breeding of bees. Does that sound cool? So for now, Darryl20 signing off. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. So Rich Slag, Cinnabar, and all kinds of other good stuff, courtesy of some automation today. Mushrooms are a thing. So for now, Darryl20 signing off. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Take it easy. Hello, everyone. This is Darryl20, and welcome to episode 73 of Darryl20's Let's Play series. I, as you can probably tell, took my automation upgrades out of my industrial apiaries. Last episode, we managed to automate a bit of mushrooms so that we could get our lifespan upgrades here, which has made it such that we are getting way more bees way more frequently, which is great. And I'm loving that aspect. Today, I'd like to get into some genetic manipulation stuff with Gendustry. As you can see, I've got Gendustry up on the right-hand side. So there's a couple approaches we can take to bees, and I think it would be cool to check out some of these things. So let's get started taking a look. So one of the things we're definitely going to want is labware. So I'm teaching our thing how to make that. And blank gene samples, that would be kind of cool to have too. So let's get some machines here. There's mutagen producers, mutatrons, industrial apiaries we already checked out. genetic imprinters, genetic samplers, advanced mutatrons, protein liquefiers, DNA extractors, genetic transposers, the list goes on. It's insane. But we're going to play with most, if not all, of these machines at some point soon. So first thing we need to look at doing is one of these guys, a mutagen producer. Do I want to put that right in there, or do I just want to make one? I don't think I need more than one of these, so let's do this. You need power modules. Have I taught you how to do power modules yet? I guess I haven't. So let's do that. Teach you how to do power modules. And then you're also going to need sturdy casings, which I'm pretty sure I did. We're going to want at least 4 of them. Recipes, please. So power modules aren't too bad. I can get like 10 of them, right? Sure, why not? Let's get some machines cooking. So to get that, we're also going to need a hopper, which needs some chests. And that should be pretty darn close. We're also going to need a mutagen tank, which I don't think we need to have too many of these guys for. But we'll make a few. Cool. And then we're going to need bronze gears. And in addition to that, I'll request like a bunch more bronze. That should hopefully give me most of what I need to get stuff going at this point. But a mutagen producer is step 1. And I haven't decided exactly where my location will be. But I'm going to go ahead and go up here for some of my bee breeding mutagen type stuff that I'm going to do. I think that sounds good, right? Yeah. So we can leave our bees outside for now. But at some point, like I said, I want to build like a building that'll have a bunch of stuff inside of it. But for now, we'll stick with you. And I guess a wireless dude wouldn't be a terrible plan for now, just because this is like a kind of temporary setup. So this thing stores, wow, 5 million RF? Wireless suddenly seems like a bad idea. Let's do power cell. So we're going to want a power cell start and a power cell card start. And you're going to go ahead and get me a bunch of these things. Cool? Cool. Great. Okay. So you'll probably chill back here. We'll pop into our basement. Link up our power cell card. Linked to ID2. And we'll bring this upstairs. So now we can at least do, 5,000 RF per tick or something like that. So you go into there, this thing can store 5 million RF now, and I'm gonna get some redstone energy conduits. Now we're talking, right? Yeah, all of you out. Now we're talking. Woot! So mutagen is your first step. And I might even move this over one, but we'll see. You can probably go into the corner, to be honest with you. Mutagen producer. Because we're gonna have another machine here anyway. It's the first step to producing what we want to get. So mutagen, this stuff, I don't think it tells you exactly, but I know there's like a couple different things you can do to get mutagen. The most simple is redstone. Throw some redstone blocks in there and it'll start producing mutagen. Dust works too, but blocks obviously produce more mutagen than dust, or at least it should. So that sounds cool. So as you can see, we're quickly producing mutagen here. Oh, quickly is maybe a little bit. It ain't that quick, but you don't really use all that much mutagen. And this is what we're going to use, this resource, along with power, to mutate our bees and create better bees. And instead of the standard route of breeding them, which we'll talk about in a minute here, we can use these machines to pretty much get custom bees. So the next nifty machine we're going to want to take a look at is the Mutatron. This is the machine that allows you to combine 2 bee species and choose the outcome of that partnering, if you will. So in this example, if we wanted to combine, for example, meadows and forest bees, we have the opportunity to breed that into a common bee. Traditionally, what you would do is place that in an apiary, and you'd place like a meadows princess with a forest drone, and you'd have a 15% chance to come up with a common queen. wah, wah, wah. That's slow and boring and takes a really long time, because what's going to happen is you're not going to get a common queen. You're going to get maybe partially a common queen and not so much a common queen, and sometimes you'll get a forest queen, and sometimes you'll get a meadows queen, and sometimes you'll get a forest and meadows queen, and you have to wait for them to die, and it's just long, boring. Try it if you want, but I'm going to go the fast route. And to do that, we're going to upgrade this Mutatron to something even better. The Advanced Mutatron. The Advanced Mutatron is better. Take my word for it. The cool thing about the Advanced Mutatron is some bees have multiple offspring levels. So for example, if you look at cultivated bees, you'll see that common and cultivated can give you noble. However, common and cultivated can also give you diligent. And, believe it or not, common and cultivated can give you a third type of bee, which is somewhere along here. I don't see it, but it's around here somewhere. You can get other types of bees from common and cultivated. So, like, common and cultivated is like the easiest example, because there's like multiple. Noble is one of them, and diligence the other. Industrious is the line that you usually get to with common and cultivated. But long story short, there's 3 different types of bees you can get from combining common and cultivated. If you use a normal Mutatron, I think it's random which one you get from that. With an advanced Mutatron, you get to choose which of the 3 bee species you're going to get. Now, these things require power and, you might have guessed, mutagen. Cool. So this guy's going to pop up here. He's going to chill right there. And we might as well get a servo for pumping liquids and stuff. And Fluidex. We'll go with... You know what? Let's do Signalum plated. Why not? We'll try and keep this looking nice. So if we removed you 2, and we did that, you look like you already emptied out your mutagen, which is cool, and dumped it all straight into the advanced Mutatron. Perfect. So by doing that, we now have a machine that we can choose to breed bees with. So I'm going to combine, my Forest Princess is ignoble, so she ain't so hot. But my Meadows Princess is pristine. That sounds perfect. So I'm going to combine you with a Forest Drone, and that tells me I can get a common queen out of it. Great. The only other thing we need in order for this to work is Genetics Labware. I'm going to request a stack of those because we're going to need a bunch of it. Cool. And when I do this and choose common, it's going to combine them. Now, there's a chance that this will fail. And if it fails, you'd lose your princess and drone. So keep that in mind. I guess that's kind of balancing, right? It might fail, and if that happens, you're in bad luck. Let's take a look now at our... Do we have our bee analyzer thingy? Oh, here it is. Sweet. So I didn't even need a servo. That's cool. So we have a common drone. It's a purebred common. So those of you who have done bees before know that sometimes you might get like common as your active trait and forest as your inactive trait, which would make it a common bee, but it's a potential that when it dies off, you'll get some forest bee, like some meadows bees or some forest bees or something like that, right? So when you do it this way, guaranteed chance to not really have much of a problem. Sweet. Let's go put this bee outside and let her live and then die. By the way, common bees, just as an FYI, typically wind up, as we can see here, your common bee usually has a pretty long lifespan. Cultivated has like the best lifespan. It's like super short. But we're gonna go put this bee outside, buy these things, and there's bad guys out here, so we're gonna enjoy shooting them with our exploding guns. And bees, common, go. So the bee is already a queen, so there's no mating it with the forest and drone. Like it mated a common queen, and it gave you the queen. It didn't give you a princess and drone, which is cool. So we're gonna let this bee hang out here, and hopefully she doesn't have any problems. And in a moment we'll come back when she has died off. So believe it or not, that didn't take too long. So what I'd like to do now is breed them again. I'm actually gonna, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put the automation upgrade in there. Wow, that is really, okay, that was just combining, right? I'm gonna put the automation upgrade in there. I'm gonna let that go through a couple cycles because I'd like to have a few bees of the common variety when we move on to the next step here. So guys, we've gone ahead and gotten a decent number of common drones here. So we've got 7 common drones. We've got a pristine queen here, just, you know, doing her production stuff, which is cool. Let's do 2 things with these drones now. So first off, I'd like to get to the next tier of drone. And the best way to do that is by combining another tier 1 princess, Mystical Counts, even though it's from a different mod, with a common drone. And that will get us a cultivated queen of pristine stock, which is cool. Totally clutch. Assuming that this survives, yes, she did. Nice. So let's see what these stats look like. She's going to have the shortest lifespan and fast production. These are two highly valuable traits because lifespan determines how long the thing lives. And if it lives for a very short period of time, we're going to be able to breed it much more quickly. That's awesome. Also, fast production. This means it's going to produce honeycombs much more quickly than your other bees that we've encountered thus far. Now, there are, I think, faster and fastest production, but fast is by far better than what I think we've been dealing with, which is, you know, something along the lines of slower production. So, like, that's bad. So I'm going to go ahead and throw my cultivated queen in here with the light upgrade and the lifespan upgrade and get lots and lots of cultivated drones. So that's step one. Like, let's get more cultivated drones. Let's get more common drones. All kinds of good and important stuff happening there. The next thing I want to do is start stealing some of the attributes of these drones. So we've been looking a little bit at attributes like this bee here that has the shorter and slower production. That's not a great attribute to get. However, that fast production would be nice. Now, if you're doing vanilla forestry without all kinds of fun gendustry things, then you have to do lots and lots of breeding to get a nice bee with the proper attributes, and it takes a long time, and it takes a lot of effort, and it's hurtful and painful, personally. I mean, doing it once is kind of fun, like, hey, neat, you know, I did it, but it's not terribly, like, really easy to automate, and it does really take a long, long time for your bees to get to that point. So, Gendustry, once again, comes to your rescue. So, in Gendustry here, we have a nifty little dude. Genetic Sampler, I believe, is what we're looking for. Yeah, that sounds like the machine we're going to want. So in order to get a genetic sampler, we can go ahead and snag one of these dudes, and we've got most of the other stuff we need. Let's go upstairs. Upstairs. We'll break this thing. We'll put this guy here. We'll get ourselves a genetic sampler. Now, I think it just needs power to do genetic sampler. The other things it will need, though, are from Gendustry. We're going to need some blank gene samples. I'm going to get about 20 of those dudes. And the other thing you're going to need is some more genetics labware, which I will get a stack of, which is pretty cheap relatively. So that goes in, and the blank gene sample goes in. The way the genetic sampler works is actually really, really simple. What it's going to do is you're going to place preferably drones. You could put princesses in there, but I wouldn't recommend it because that's a big waste. Princesses are rare. Drones are common. You get lots of extra drones when you breed bees. You get no extra princesses. So totally good thing to burn your drones on. What it does is it picks one of these attributes or one of these attributes. I think that's it. Yeah. One of these or one of these. So, like, it could pick the nocturnal attribute, whether it's nocturnal or not. It could pick the cave dwelling attribute. It could pick the climate attribute. It could pick the production attribute. It might pick the species attribute. And that's kind of the one that I'm going for with common. What I like to do when I'm doing bees is go ahead and just throw a common drone in there, and it's going to process a little bit. It's going to chew up that drone, and it's going to get one of the attributes of that drone and stick it onto a gene sample. Cool. And in this one, we got extremely lucky on our very first try. Go Direwolf. Well, that is cool. So that's super awesome. The reason I'm excited about that is I just got my species drones. What I'm going to do is keep somewhere nearby all the bee species that we like. So common is a bee species that we like. So in the future, we can use this bee sample with species common to take any bee in the world and turn it into a common bee using some machinery. That's really awesome that we happen to get that. Cool. Let's go ahead and throw a few more common drones in there and see what kind of other attributes we get. There's really no other attributes that I want, but I'm excited, so therefore I'm doing the thing. Cool, we got temperature tolerance none. So if we didn't want our bees to have a temperature tolerance, I have no idea on what planet we would want this thing to be, but you never know. And we got territory, average, another attribute that I really couldn't care less about. But hey, it's an attribute, so that's cool. And this guy is cave dwelling false. So if you don't want your bees to be able to dwell in caves, you could go ahead and apply that. Most bees can't dwell in caves, and the ones that can, it's kind of a nice thing. So if you decide that you don't want your nifty thing anymore, you can smelt these dudes in theory. You used to be able to smelt them. Can they not go into a regular furnace? That's weird. Why, not go into... I thought the redstone furnace could smelt all the things that vanilla furnaces can smelt. Okay, cool. Let's, do I have a furnace? I don't know. We're about to get one. Do we have some speed upgrades? Totally do. Hey, I think we could probably just stick this guy. I could put him upstairs. Yeah, let's do that. You can come upstairs with me. You're gonna go right here with your speed upgrades, and we'll run some power over to you because we're nice guys like that. This goes in there, cool, and it smelts, and we get a blank gene sample. Hey, that's a cool dupe bug. Whoops. I wonder if that happens in vanilla furnaces. I also wonder if that happens with other items. Please don't tell me that happens with other items, because I'll be really upset. And I'll have to go yell at Tema. Okay, well at least that doesn't happen, because that would be a really bad dupe bug. I wonder if that happens in vanilla furnaces. Should have held on to that charcoal, huh? Just curious now at this point whether or not that happens. So I'm going to need a new bee species trait to test this on. So we'll go ahead and throw a Meadows drone in there. It really doesn't matter for the purposes of this test, what I'm doing. Cool, temperature tolerance none. Yeah, I definitely don't want that. If it was the species, I might have considered keeping it. So I really wonder, I can't imagine that this is going to happen in a vanilla furnace, right? Like, there's no way. Alright, you guys found a very minor dupe bug through this video. Don't abuse it. Weird. I'm going to have to report that. That must be some kind of conflict between Gendustry and X Utilities. What that conflict is, I couldn't even tell you. But hey, that's how you erase your gene samples. So if you get to the point where you're like, hey, I don't need this gene sample like the ones we just did, totally a way to go. So let's pop outside and see what's up with our common and cultivated bees, because they should have had some progress in between while we were doing stuff. So we got 3 common drones in that time frame, and you don't have an automation upgrade in you, so you didn't do anything that I would want, but that's okay. We'll mate you 2, and we'll bring this guy home in hopes that we get something nice off of this drone. So let's do the thing and cross our fingers. And hey, maybe we'll get something good. Maybe we won't. We got Never Sleeps False. So that is the, you know, works at nighttime bee trait. So yeah, I should probably just like void that after a while. Or I should put a vanilla furnace up here. I don't know, it's fast. Vanilla furnaces are slow. I'll figure out what to do about that. Yeah, so let's let the bees do their beely duty, and we'll come back and see what the next step is. So keeping in mind that our common bee was running for quite a while without cultivated running, this guy's got 8 drones and 4 combs. This guy's already overtaken him with 9 drones and 9 combs. So we totally have, obviously, a difference in the lifespan and the production of this bee. So I'm going to take these 9 cultivated drones, leave my queen in there, who, by the way, when she dies, will leave, you know, a drone and a princess behind, and she'll continue running. And we're going to go run all these drones through the sequencer here. So basically, most of them, that should be fine. Yeah, and we'll see what we get. Cool. So we'll be back in a minute when we see what we get. Hey, so good news. We just got bee species cultivated. That's cool. So we totally now have the common and the cultivated species. And now I'm going to let the rest of them run through, because I wouldn't mind getting those really nice stats like short lifespan and fast production speed. Because the fast production speed, once we get to a bee that's actually making something we care about, will be super cool to have. And you can just burn through here. And eventually what I'm going to do is set up some kind of automation method for this. And I'm probably going to have to deal with the fact that the input is bad, right? So we're going to have to figure that out, this whole weird duping thing that's happening. Out of curiosity, if I remove the speed upgrades, does that prevent that from accidentally happening? Like, it's going to be slower, but I'm just curious if that has anything to do with it. Nope. Still no good. Never Sleeps False. Don't care about that so much. And yes, I realize I'm duping blank gene samples, but frankly, they cost me 10 in iron. I'm not going to worry about that. Flowering boring slowest, also a boring attribute. At the end of the day, like a little bit of extra tin and redstone is what I'm looking for. Do I need to look at my system and show you? Effect none. That's kind of a nice one to have. Later on, we'll find some bees give positive area of effects and some bees give negative area of effects. And the ability to turn off the negative ones with an effect none will be kind of nice to have. Cool. So we've now got the common and the cultivated species templates, right? And that's pretty slick. We're going to let these guys continue to run here. But, well, we've already got common. So you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the automation upgrade here. And let's look in Gendustry. There is one item from Gendustry that's really useful and is gated behind bees, and that is the production upgrade. This makes bees produce more stuff. However, in order to get that, we need royal jelly, which only comes from imperial bees, or classical apparently, which is from Binny's extra bees. So what we're going to do is we're going to check out how to get imperial. We need majestic and noble princesses. Majestic comes from noble and cultivated, and noble is one of the options from common and cultivated. So this is a bee species line. Usually there's about 3 of them, right? You start with like a bee that comes from the common cultivated mix, right? And then it, you know, upgrades to majestic, and then you combine the 2, majestic and noble, to get imperial. That's exactly what we're going to do here. So I'm going to take my common queen, and I'm going to grab one. Well, we'll grab 2 cultivated. It won't hurt. One of them can go into the grinder, and we can hope for a fast species something or other. But the advanced Mutatron can now combine our common and cultivated, and here's your options, noble or diligent. I thought there was 3 tiers of bees that you can get off this, right? Oh well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just 2. But noble is what we want, we said, right? So we'll like let that thing happen. And now we have a noble bee. That's pristine. Sweet. So some people feel like Gendustry is a little bit cheaty because it makes bees a lot easier than they would otherwise be. True. However, it's not a complicated thing to do. It's not easily automatable. And it's a matter of sitting around and waiting and hoping for luck. And Gendustry takes the luck and waiting out of bees. That's kind of what I like about it. So we'll come over here with our common drone. We'll stick our noble queen in here, and we'll let her do her thing. So she's going to produce stuff for us now, and that's cool. And we've got a few more cultivateds. Oh, wait, hold on. Don't want to take all the cultivateds. That's a bad thing. Make sure that there's at least 1 drone that leaves in there. And off we go. Sweet. Okay, good deal. And we got flowers. That seems oxymoronic, but remember, like, some bees can have cactus as their flower. So flowers cactus is what you'd see for modest. The nether bees require netherwort, for example. Sweet. Speed fast. That's an attribute that I want. Speed fast. Speed is the one that controls how much it produces. So that's a good attribute to have. Nice. Sweet and sweeter. Temperature tolerance none is not an exciting one. And finally, we got tolerates rainfall. So that's also not exciting. But it's eventually we'll be able to get bees that can tolerate the rain and don't mind it being dark. And that'll be exciting because then we won't need to worry about those light upgrades. So guys, our noble bee has died off. Sweet. That's kind of a nice thing for me. You know what else I should grab while I'm over there, though? Is a common drone. Yeah, totally. So remember, noble bee gets upgraded. Noble plus cultivated becomes majestic. So that's what we're going to want. So I'm going to snag, you can see it's raining, so my bee's all upset about the rain, but that's okay. I've got plenty of cultivated drones that I can use. So, in theory, I should be able to combine noble with cultivated, and that'll get me the majestic that I need. Cool. And I'm going to hang on to these 2 noble drones, the extra ones, because I'm going to combine majestic with noble once this bee dies off. While we're here, I guess it wouldn't be a bad idea to get some of these bad boys. So I'm actually going to teach you how to do, not humidifier, seal upgrade. What was it? Yeah, seal upgrade. That makes it so that you don't care about the rain. Where it's raining now, at least. So seal upgrade times 3. Missing beeswax. Oh, cool. We should process you guys and get some beeswax, huh? Excellent. So out we'll go. And again, this is an introduction to bees, right? So I'm getting you guys familiar with how these things work. Probably the next episode, what I'd like to focus more towards. So you're unhappy because it's raining, but if I throw that in there, you're good. Same for you. And possibly, yeah, I mean, you're in a desert biome, so it's not really raining there, is it? It's raining here, but not there. So in the next episodes, we'll go much more heavy into automation and working towards getting the bees that we want, specifically the gas tier bees, right? These guys are ghastly bees. They have a 10% chance of creating a gas tier, but that's going to be boosted when we get, you know, all the stat upgrades that we can on this guy, right? And in order to get ghastly bees, we have a long path of bees to go through, right? Ethereal needs supernatural, and arcane, which needs enchanted and charms and cultivated and eldritch, and but trust me, it would take like weeks to get to this bee without Gendustry. And with Gendustry, oh yeah, it's going to be still a lot of work, but also a little bit more fun and more like, hey, I get to play with machines and automation, and less so I get to watch bees die and fall asleep. So that's where we're at. So in theory, we should very soon have the top tier bee that I'm going for, which will allow me to get even better upgrades in my machines. So I'm just waiting for this guy to die off. So we'll be back in like a minute or two when that happens. And then we combine him with the noble, and what we'll have is an imperial bee, which is capable of producing royal jelly. Nice. And we'll stick that one into an automation apiary. Cool. Nice. So we'll be back in about a minute or two. I'm going to probably take the automation upgrade here. I don't want you running any more Modest. You're pretty done. Sweet. Good to go. So sometimes I like to hang on to bees, just in case I ever want to use them again. For that, we should get a pretty proper chest. Iron might be nice to have. We'll stick them right on top of this one. This is where we'll put extra bees like the nobles that I didn't use, and some of the majestics, just in case at some point I want to use them. If I wanted to, I could try genetic sampling them, but I'll probably wind up destroying them, and the chances of getting the species trait ain't so high. So, Majestic and Noble will get me Imperial. So cross your fingers, because at this point, if I got Genetic Waste, I'd be a little upset, but not the end of the world. Hey, it worked. Nice. Cool. And now we've got Imperial Bees. That's nice, because that's going to get us Royal Jelly, which allows us to have production upgrades, which allows us to get even more resources out of any bees that we wind up making. So that, thus far, concludes, and that's Light, and Seal, and Lifespan, and where's my automation upgrade goes in there. Thus far concludes the basics of how to mess with bees. So now you guys who've never used or played with bees before should have a pretty good understanding of how to combine two bee species. Again, fully using Gendustry, right? Had we used not Gendustry machines, it would have been just a little bit different and a lot longer. And but yes, so for now, it is wrapping up. So that was my signing off. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. We will come back next time and have a little bit more fun playing with unautomating bees. I'm going to look into a little bit of automation regarding, if I can, I'm going to try automation. If it's possible. It may not be. There's some research I need to do. And then what we're going to do is play around with some other things. We won't be on bees for long. It'll probably just be a few episodes. So those of you who I know exist out there who aren't huge fans of bees, it's not going to be very long before we switch. In the meantime, I'm going to drop off all these extra drones that I have. And heck, even I'll drop off that Forest Princess. Why not? And yeah, we'll take, we'll come back next time. For now, you know, take it easy. Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20, and welcome to episode 74 of Direwolf20's Let's Play series. Today, I'm playing just a little bit with a new room in the basement. How does this room look? I hope it looks nice, because you're getting to keep it. It's not done yet. It's not even a little bit done yet. I have more plans and whatnot for it. Maybe here then. It's definitely 9x9-ish. Right? And that's cool. I'm liking this this wand. Yeah, that looks nice. All right, cool. Hey, I made a little. It's going to be a genetics lab. I want it to look nice, so I'm definitely not. This is not the room layout. I just placed temporary sandstone in there. But like, kind of the concept here is I'd like the door here, right, to look like sandstone. But as you approach it, it's going to like automatically somehow open in a neat kind of way. And inside will be like a really high-tech looking genetics room. That's going to be all fancy looking. So let's look at Chisel and see what kind. Like, there's definitely fancy technical looking blocks in Chisel that I've totally used in the past. So we'll probably use something similar because I know they exist and they look neat. So things like some of these things, right? Like, yeah, factory style blocks. They look cool. There's also, so there's factory blocks, and then there's like laboratory blocks. These things are pretty neat looking too. Like, what if we got a couple stacks of these? And we could do like some of these arrow things and the console blocks. They look pretty nifty and spiffy. That might be cool. Like, I want it to be like a complete counterpoint to like the sandstone pyramid look. I want it to be like completely opposite and look very technical in nature. To the point where you're like, whoa, this is a huge difference, right? Like, that's a thing in designing things, right? Y'all? That's like a thing that people do, like a shocking difference. I think that's a thing. So we're gonna try and make that thing a thing that we do. So let's take a look. So let's grab our chisel, because we should have one in here somewhere. I'm sure it's in here, and I'm completely missing it. Or maybe it's not, and it's in here instead. Chisel? There it is. Cool. So you were not in there. You were in a different place. So basic laboratory blocks look nice, but there's also tiled ones. So I want to, like, first kind of pick out the wall, and we'll probably have a few vents. So let's get, like, half a stack of vents, and we'll probably also have a few of these console-looking things. Let's also grab, like, let's grab some fuzzy screens, because I remember liking the way those looked. Okay. That looks neat for now. So let's get our exchanger, which should be in here somewhere. And let's lay out one of each block type that we're going to be playing with here. Okay, and I want the exchanger to be in 3x3 mode and see what we can't come up with. There you go. So if I made all the walls out of, like, this material. See, I don't know how much I love that appearance, right? Now I remember these guys, one of these guys definitely has, like, a connected textures kind of look. See, that looks way cooler. Or I could go with these things, which also looks pretty good. In, like, a connected textures kind of look. See, that I kind of like better, I think, than this. What do you guys think? Yeah, definitely like the, what is that, texturing or something? Like the lines stuff, RT words. And then for you, we might want like kind of a vents kind of appearance. So like, what if we did vents all around the top of the room? Does that look pretty nifty? Now I might actually want to push this room back one, and I think I'm going to. So in fact, let's make sure that we have our 3x3 drill in here. Yeah, no, I said have the 3x3 drill in there. Thank you, Dire Derp. Because I just remembered, I want to actually have, like... I didn't want to break that, but that's okay, we can fix that. Sand, stone... Nice. Okay, so what I'm going to actually want to do is have... something like this. Alright, you come out of there before I break that. And then we can put this here and this here. You can go there, and you're going to go there instead of there. Cool. Because what I'm going to want to have... Why do you sometimes not want to place where I want you to place things? Thank you. is I want the outside to look just like a simple pyramid, and then the inside will look like an actual room. Does that sound cool? So we'll do this. And then I said I was going to go with these laboratory blocks for the fancy looking bits, right? So fuzzy screens is kind of what we're going for here. And I think that'll look good. And I'm going to put you back in 3x3 mode. That looks nifty, except for that bit. That looks good, right? Does that look cool? Nice cornering and everything. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. And then you guys might also wind up being fuzzy screens. For the time being, I might tweak this a little bit, we'll see. Right, so when you come in here, you have like the impression that you're totally looking at like a thing, right? Now I could put like a nice looking console bit on the wall here. I don't know. Does that look nifty-ish? You guys like? I feel like there needs to be something else. Let's try something. What about those factory blocks? Because there's totally cool looking stuff in here. What was that like rainbowy one? This guy. That's a Futura block. See, I like kind of the look of that. Let's get a stack of these guys. I'm not sure where I want them to be because they're very noisy, right? Is that the right word? Noisy? Yeah, it's like I'm paying attention. Like they're very noisy, so like I don't want them to be too noisy. Just out of curiosity, what would it look like if I did a little something with these? I'm not sure exactly what I would do with them. I feel like something needs to be in the corner, and I'm not sure what. I'm out of that block? Okay, cool. You get like a few more of these. Does that looks kind of cool, right? I feel like that looks kind of cool, right? That looks... I think I'm digging that. I think I like it. Do we want this to continue along the top here? Now for the roof, maybe the flat tile block? So just like the regular old tile one? And we can, I'm gonna put it in 3x3 mode. Like I put it in 3x3 mode for a reason, and I don't like actually use it properly. Tile and tile. I'm just gonna get as many tiles, but you know what else there is? Tiles of this. That should be enough. Does this look like a pretty high-tech genetic room? Now, what about for the flooring? The flooring definitely needs to be in the same scheme. But I don't think... How about these dotted panels? What does that look like? They don't super... That actually doesn't look bad. I kind of like that. So if I had a few more of those, that would be nifty looking, right? So factory blocks, or no, laboratory blocks. Let's get like 2 more stacks of them. And then we could dotted panel and see what the floor looks like with a full dotted panel going on. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Does this look like pretty high tech or what? I think it looks cool. Like this definitely stands out as like a high tech room. Out of curiosity, is there something I could put in here besides these glowy lights that looks more high tech? Because they look a little magical for a high tech, right? Like room. Lamps. So there's lamps from Actually Editions. I think we'll stick with what we got for now. I think that looks neat. I like it. I think I like it. I'm open to your opinions. I thought this would be too noisy, but I feel like it works. I don't know. You guys tell me. Next important part. Really, really important part will be the door. So how am I going to do the door is the next question. Also, oh, yeah, somebody mentioned I totally broke this thing by putting this here. So let's get some tape and move this away. Yeah, this was a mistake putting that there. That linked those two things, which are now too close to each other. I need to fix that. Like, it literally only just now occurred to me. So, derp on Dyer's part. My bad. Yeah, that's okay. So, I mean, we're cool. I think that's okay. Yeah, that should be fixed now. Whoops. I did that like last episode, or was it the one before that? I don't know. And everybody's like, Dyer, I think you just broke that thing you built. And I'm like, oh, good catch. See, I do read your guys' comments on the videos. Believe it or not, I rarely have the opportunity to reply because of the way, like, the way I function. But I do read what you guys write. Trust me. All right. So with that said, now let's figure out how we're gonna make a door. Like, I want it to be very mechanical and magical. Like, not magical, but like technical, right? So we could do like a shield door. I want like a zzz sound or something cool. Like I want it to be like Star Trek-y. Like a cool sound plays when you do it. We do have shields. I'm just curious. I actually don't know if this works, but we're gonna find out. Let's do this, and let's do this, and let's do that. Get ourselves some shield templates. And a shield projector. I want to see what would happen. And I'm going to put it over here right now because this might reach over there. Yeah, nice. All right, so this is the shield block from RF Tools. Have we talked about these much yet? They can be cool. Basically, you build shields. And I want to see if this is fixed yet. Because there's a thing that you can do with it that's neat that may or may not work. We're going to find out. But long story short, we need the wrench. This one. Bing. Now we've got this cool looking high-tech shield that we can specify all kinds of rules around, like which kind of entities are allowed to walk through the shield versus consider the shield solid, take damage, solid damage, etc. So you can do that on passive mobs, hostile mobs, items, players, all. So for example, if I made it solid to players, then did I say solid to players? No, that's a delete. Solid to player, right? And then turn the shield on and off. It's now solid. Like I can't get in there, right? And if I made it allow players to pass, and we'll delete this one, and we made it solid for hostile mobs, right? And then turn it on. Players could walk through, but hostile mobs could not. So all kinds of neat stuff you can do with force fields. Really, really cool stuff. But what I'd like to see. And it's like a priority system. So like I could do solid for all, right? And then it's players get through, but everything else doesn't. If default solid was on the top, I think it would not be the opposite. But you can also change like the color of the shield. So like if I wanted the shield to be like orange, like that's the thing. And purple, that's the thing. But you can also set it to be mimic. Use the texture from the supplied block. So what if I put sandstone in there? Ooh, now that is a thing, right? The problem is it's like right now it's just solid, or it's passive. Transparent shield texture would look like, I guess, different somehow. invisible shield, mimic, transparent, solid shield texture. Looks like that. Okay, neat. Invisible is completely invisible. So you could have like cool kinds of stuff with that. But I kind of wanted to use mimic. But then, so what we could do is configure this guy to require a redstone signal, right? And whenever we give it a redstone signal, it's on, and redstone signal is off. But that doesn't make like a cool bzz sound. But knowing that that thing is an option with the textures is key to my plans here. So that's good. That texture thing was broken for the longest time, and it's fixed now, so that's nice. So I could do that. I could put the shield block in the floor here. Pretty sure it retains its energy, right? And its settings. So if I did this, and obviously I wouldn't have the lever outside here, right? But okay, yeah, there we go. Right. That's kind of what we'd be looking at. The only thing is you can see the glowy lights through the shield, so that's kind of a bummer. So I'd like something a little different. Let me think. All right, guys, can you tell what's different about this room? I'll give you a hint. You can tell if you look closely. I pushed it back one. So now the entryway is 3 blocks deep instead of 2. The reason I did that is I have an idea, a nifty idea. So let's get our laboratory blocks. We're gonna need a few more fuzzy screens, so let's get those ready to roll. I think I put away my chisel already, so that's okay. We'll get it. And so like, what if we did this? You ready? What if we had these here, and in the middle we did frames? Does that sound cool? Because I think that sounds cool. So let's give that a shot, shall we? Basically what we're going to want to do is the following. We're going to want frames here. Oh good, you're already framed up, aren't you? Can I like because you're closed on specific sides. I'd like you to like not be closed anymore. I think I can like unclose things. So we're gonna want our funky locomotion dude. I'd like, do you have a wrench? Don't I have a wrench? I might have been using this wrench. So these guys were all closed on the north, south, west, and east sides. So if I did this and this, do I get, okay, you're gonna be that. I don't want that. I want, no. Alright, it's shapeless and it sets all the sides. Oh, that's annoying. I might just make more frame blocks, to be honest with you. Yeah, let's just do that. I'm going to put you away and just make more frame blocks. Because we don't need all that many. We need like 20. And that should be like cheap, relatively. So I'm going to put you guys away. And we will let this crafting occur, right? So there's frame blocks that aren't closed on any side. Sweet. And you can go away as well then, I guess. You're going to be a nuisance. All right, so let's put, and I'm going to open this up so I can get in and out easily. But if I put frames here and closed this side, and we're also going to want to close the tops and the bottoms, or well, not the bottoms probably, but definitely the tops. So let's maybe platform this. Cool. So now you're good, right? Now what we're definitely going to need to do is have a system on the ground with which to pull these things. And we also want to make sure that we're not pulling you into something that already exists, like this chiseled stone thing. I don't know what you're from, but it looks like you can be moved safely. And we're getting into the quiet area of no block sounds. But that's okay. Right, so that looks cool, right? And then we can put this here. And then on the other side, we can put laboratory blocks. Neat. So it's a frame door. And it's 3 wide so that it can cover both sides, right? Now, you guys don't technically need anything, but we do need frame blocks. Let's fill that in. I want to have like a nice clear area underneath here. So we want this to move down 3 block spaces, right? In order to open a 3x3x3 door. So what you're going to need to do is basically 1, 2, 3. I think this is right. And we're going to want a frame slider this way. So you're going to move downwards. Let's get a wireless doohickey out here just for the time being. And we'll have to see if this needs more something or other eventually. So you should be powering up with your RF, right? And basically, if I give you a redstone signal, a steady redstone signal, what's going to happen here? Why are you no longer moving? What? What up? What up? What up? You should be able to move one more down. Why are you not able to move one more down? Yeah, technically that should be working. Where's the sticking point on that? It's not power related, right? I wouldn't think so. Oh no, it was power related. Sweet. All right, so we're gonna need more power down here, but that's cool, right? And then it won't be able to move down anymore because the frame here gets stuck, right? Now, if we made this dude and we put him here, and we shift-clicked him such that he's pointing upwards, and we gave him a redstone signal, so I'm going to turn that one off. Let's do lever. How much power are you at? 40,000? And it looks like you use about 7,000 per move. Cool, right? How cool is that? Now I'm going to actually like close you so you don't actually affect anything, and that can go back there. Right. So this is like an inversion system, right? When this is on, this should be off, and vice versa. So that's door open. And this is what it looks like when the door is open. And keep in mind, obviously, that this will be here, and this will be here. In fact, this could all be here. I'm going to fill the whole thing in because, in theory, because I close off the sides there, it should be good, right? So this is door open, right? And then if we invert that, we should get door closed. Oops, I forgot to turn off something somewhere. Yeah, you're still on. Well, here's your problem. Neat? Does that look cool? I think it looks cool, and I hope you guys like it, because I think it's staying. So let's like break into this room and see what it looks like from this side, right? Like, so it's just like, hey, it's a solid wall. That's kind of nifty. So let's figure out how we're going to manage this, this thing. Because I'd like, kind of, to be able to detect when a player gets right up against the wall and it opens. So like literally standing like right here and it opens, right? So within like 2 block forms. Now, I want to have like a really concise, structured look at that. Now I think there is the entity detector from Draconic Evolution, but I don't think I can be quite as precise with that. But let's give it a shot. So if we made an entity detector here, which requires one of these and one of these, let's see what that looks like. There's also the advanced version of it, but let's try the regular one first and see if that's going to suffice for what we want to do. What this thing does is it's actually like a really, really powerful way of detecting entities nearby, and it's cool. So to get this working, let's just... Well, I hesitate to do this, but let's just do it anyway. That should be fine. Okay, cool. And we'll get a redstone dust just for demonstration purposes. Right? So we could say range is a specific number of blocks. So if we wanted it to be like 5 blocks, I wish I could visualize the range because that would be really easy for me. Pulse delay, the delay between scanning pulses. So I want that to be actually kind of lower than 1.5, but we might have to wait. the minimum number of entities required to produce a redstone signal is 1, and the maximum entities, so 1 to 1, and that's fine. Fixed output mode is good, and that should be cool. And then this guy will say players is what we want to detect. So you should be emitting a redstone signal when there's a player within 5 blocks. That's kind of cool. Now, define 5 blocks. Is it a radius 5 blocks or is it a square 5 blocks? So like, more to the point, right? If I go into Raven mode such that I'm nice and small, still a player, right? Here is where you cut off. Remember, it's a 1.5 seconds delay between each pulse. So I want to get to the point where it actually shuts off. Yeah, so that's a little farther than I probably want. But if I put that in the right spot, it should work, right? So let's consider this as the... And I might want to upgrade him. What's involved in upgrading him? Not terribly hard, it looks like. Totally doable. And I think with the advanced one, you can be a little bit more specific. So I can shrink the pulse delay to 1/4 seconds so it detects things more quickly. An entity filter, you can add like specific entities and more custom filters, but I don't need to filter that much. So let's try getting this. Now what I'd like to do is use the following. I'm going to put you away. What I want is structural ducts, and I might need a few more of these. And redstone times 3. Okay, so follow along with this idea, which should, in theory, work. What we'll do is we'll come down here and decide where the detector is going to live. You can probably live... Let's try him right here for the time being, right? Now, I don't know if you're going to output to the bottom. I'm kind of... You know what? I shouldn't need you to output to the bottom. You can output back here. So you're going to be an input on the red channel, okay? So check this out. So when there's a player nearby, you're going to emit a redstone signal. That's what we're going to configure here in a moment. And you're using more RF than we're getting at the moment, probably because of our pulse delay. This affects the RF cost. So let's do 1.5. Is that going to get the net gain now? It's pretty darn close, but it looks like a net gain now. I'll tweak this once I get proper power down here, right? So in theory, so you guys don't actually have to move anything. So I'm going to lock these sides down so that you're not moving any blocks. Cool. That should be good. And then you're going to run down. Well, actually, no, because now you're in the way of the door, aren't you? That's a bummer. So what I actually need is for this to run. So this is the door, these 3. So we're going to want this guy here. And you're going to be on input on the red channel, right? And then you're going to run down here behind. So this is the door, and that's the door. So when there's a redstone signal, I want you to output a redstone signal to this guy when there's a player. So you're going to be redstone output on the on there. But you ready for this? This is the cool part that I'm excited about with these structure ducts because they seem nifty. You know what I might do, actually? Let's remove you. I'm going to run this just a little bit better. So you'll be an output on red. And you will be an inverted output on red. So what this means is when you're receiving a redstone signal, this turns on and this turns off. And when you're not receiving a redstone signal, this turns on and this turns off. That sounds cool. So what I should be able to do now, I'm going to set the range to blocks. That seems reasonable, 5 blocks. From like the center-ish area. And are you like literally sitting right underneath the movement thing? So how dumb am I? It's been a while since I played with frames, guys. It's just been a while.